Yes, sorry for that pop. It helps to have power. How y'all doing? I can take these silly headphones off for the moment. I'm going to mute this and okay. And now I can't hear anything. So this is the problem with having this. Testing 1, 2, testing 1, 2. That's about the best I can do. Okay. How y'all doing? I thought I would try streaming to YouTube just for the heck of it. Seems like my computer is about as taxed as it would be streaming to Twitch. So there's not much of a difference there. Yeah, the Lyra 8's cool. Unfortunately, I got it out of some of the sweet spots that it was in, and I don't know that I'll ever be able to get them back. I think the key to the Lyra is once you find a couple sweet spots, don't tweak more than one knob at a time. And I like to grab about 3 or 4 knobs and then just go crazy with them, and that's kind of a recipe for disaster with the Lyra 8. I'm still scratching the surface on that thing. I haven't even begun to really. I've done a little bit to figure it out. I'm not going to say I haven't. I have done a little bit to figure it out. But yeah, I was going to stream to Twitch today, and I thought, well, what the heck? Why not see what's going on with YouTube? And this is interesting because I can use YouTube directly, whereas opposed to Twitch, you can't use Twitch directly. You have to use some other service. At least I haven't checked Twitch lately to see if you can do that, but no, I'm pretty sure you can't. So I use OBS, and I probably could be using OBS right now as well. There's some benefits to using OBS over this YouTube Studio interface. One being that you're seeing all of my gear right now flipped horizontally, which is kind of bizarre. And secondly, I'm not able to control that. So on OBS, I can do that if I want to, but more importantly, when I switch to, say, this view, I can control it so that it is not upside down, so to speak. I can flip everything 180 degrees. But, upside down's not terrible, I don't guess, especially if you don't know what the knobs are in the first place, then what does it really matter? So that view actually, I think, looks a lot better than the other one I've got going on. I don't have any decent lighting happening right now. I mean, right now what's funny is that this room does not look anything at all like this. This is probably a product of a filter that I've got going on in this camera. So let me change that. How do I do that? It's the scene button. So this is I like these zoom cameras. They're pretty good, but the view interface is so deceptive. And that's why a lot of times my videos are just completely out of whack. At least here you can't see it, but I'm looking at a TV screen. All right, this is just called film. It's a little bit sharp on the contrast, but I kind of like it. All right, give me a moment. Let me get my tea going here. I just stepped off in the kitchen. And I got this stuff. It's a salted caramel tea. And to tell you the truth, I'm not really keen on the flavor. but I add this Korean green plum jelly tea sauce stuff to it, whatever it's called. And oh boy, does it make it taste excellent. So yeah, this crazy stuff right here. Yeah, I think it's green plum. So it's kind of sour, which complements the overly sweet taste of the salted caramel tea wonderfully, and it counteracts the just ridiculous. I had my first glass of this stuff, and I was like, oh, I don't think I'm going to be able to drink any more of this, and I bought a whole case of it. So this stuff came to the rescue. Of course, unfortunately, it adds a lot of sugar. That's not good. So what I'm working on right now is just a little piece of music. If anybody's out there watching right now and you have any questions about my gear, I guess now is the time to ask, because you've got me right here and I can see the screen. Somebody remind me to keep reading the screen. So yeah, salted caramel tea. I can't say that I'm a fan of it. It's a little too much, but like that stuff that I just showed you changes the flavor. Yeah, whatever, there's like some aftertaste, and that aftertaste is completely gone. This aftertaste that I don't like, that is. So I've already got some stuff loaded up on the pyramid. What's really cool is I created this test project. I think there's actually a way to tell the pyramid to load a project automatically when you start up. And so what I'm doing, find a way to get, there we go. That's good enough, I guess. What I'm doing is, just setting up a couple projects so that if I need to tune everything, I can. Let me do it this way instead. So like now we should just be here. Oh, I hate when it does that. The pyramid starts out in a default mode. Maybe there's a way to change that, where when I want to just demonstrate different tracks on a project, I don't want to actually store what I'm doing. Right? It's kind of like, okay, I load a project. I want to do some stuff. I don't want you to actually save this until I tell you to save it. But the nature of the sequence mode is that things are auto-saved based upon if the record is on or off. You can't see the record button, I don't think. Nope, you can't see it. The lyra is blocking it. So that is my bane to existence right there. It messes me up every time. Okay, so now we should just be here in the K2. Well, minus the T3 through, of course. And if I want to tune that, I can take it to one of these pedals right here. It's actually right on C. So I can come across to the neutron. Oh, the neutron's not doing anything because I've overriding the E gate. Yeah, maybe. No. Okay, well, oh, and it's also muted. So it's a bit out of tune. Now if I pull in the K2 of that, move on to the Pro 1. And what I have to do next, of course, is send the actual audio track that the Pro 1 is going to the tuner pedal. And I always forget where the master tune for this thing is. I think it's right here. Yeah. And so forth. That's handy. All right. I'm going to turn this down a little bit on the main just a bit. What happens, and also I need to do this. What I'm doing now is I'm making sure that we can hear the Mega FM if I choose to play it, because it's going through the Delta Sep A. For all kinds of reasons I don't want to get into, rather than have the Mega FM go into one of the mixers over here, because I don't have room for it right now. I kind of do, but I don't. I'm just having it go into the stereo input of the Delta Sep A. The Delta Sep A has stereo in for processing external audio through its effects, onboard effects that it has. So it's pretty cool. The Mega FM works really well going into the Delta Sep A that way, because it's stereo out. The Delta Sep A has stereo in for its effects, and I've taken its stereo out over to this far mixer right here, the smaller one. So what happens if I want to watch your ears? This should play everything except the Lyra 8, the Pico system, and the DFAM, and well, any of the drum machines. So all the synthesizers should fire 3, 2, 1. Now, you want to hear everything going crazy, the DFAM and all the other drum machines. Actually, I got to change the TR-09 up. That should get the, let's just test it real quick, make sure. Yeah. DFAM's being really quiet right now. Are you still playing? Yeah, you're still playing. I hit the wrong button. There we go. Okay, so this should hit, everything should play at once. Watch out. 3, 2, 1. All right, that was pretty crazy. Is my voice distorted? I should have been paying attention to that. It seems a little crackly. Maybe because the antenna? Let's do that. That might be a little bit better. Okay. All right. So yeah, that's what happens when everything plays all at once. Now, no effects were going, I don't think, just then. I do have a few things set up. Okay, so this is going to be the hard part for me. What I've got to do now is I've got to figure out how to transpose what I've already got. So let me back up. Let me load in the new project that I'm working on. And, you know, while we're at it, what happens if I load in my Bach project real quick and see what happens? Think about this for a second. If I go to the track that I wanted, yeah. So this should play. Yep. This is so cool. I love this sequencer. What can I say? Okay, so here's the new project that I'm working on. I might switch over to this view for a second. One of the things that I'm having a hard time remembering to do is to switch the views. Also, notice how my camera, right? I'm trying to pull it up like this, right? I want to stay here. Won't happen. Won't happen. So, you know, if anybody else is ever wondering, you know, why my camera angles are so terrible, well, you know, when it comes to video stuff, kind of taking a second route to audio. Not really sure what I can do. There we go. Maybe that right there will work. Okay, that works. It's got to be creative. So focusing here on the sequencer, on the pyramid sequencer, and trying to remember to keep up with chat, which is hard to do. What's happening, Paul? Yeah, keep reading the screen. See, what I need is a big screen where I can throw chat onto a large screen that I can just see from afar. It's really hard to do. That's super, super, super hard to do. Remembering to read chat when you're doing this. So, I mean, it helps if you're like right there in front of the computer, right? And so if I've got like a DAW situation using a whole bunch of VSTs and just maybe a few synthesizers around my computer and I'm sitting at a desk, a lot easier. But no, 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 no. Not me. I got to have some isolated situation where I'm able to like run back and forth and can't allow myself to sit down. Nope. Okay. So this one is in 6/8. I already culled out 5 generated patterns that I created on the bass spot. Usually what I do is I'll just start and the first thing that catches my ear, I'll go with it. I'll see if anything else that I have on the table at that moment in time seems like it could work with it. Usually nothing does, but sometimes something just becomes an instant B part or something. And then from there, I'll take whatever notes. I'll kind of try to figure out whatever scale it's in, and then I'll constrict the notes to that scale, and I'll generate more patterns. So in this case, I've got 4 more patterns on top of the main pattern. What I'm doing right now is figuring out if I want to add an external delay pedal to the TT303, which is way over here. You can't see it. Switch screens real quick. TT303, and way over here is the swarm. You know what? What am I doing? I have another camera. One thing I need to figure out is how to do is have some kind of a remote switcher. If I had a remote switcher that I had in my hand, that would be so awesome. So this is the Beatronics Swarm. This pedal is a monster. It is very, very hard to use. You've got to find something that works within the realms of within the confines of its whatever am I trying to say? Excuse me. There's a phrase there that I'm trying to say, and I can't say it right now. I got all my words mixed up. And then once you kind of do that, then you sort of dial in an area. And in this particular case, I'm not going to tweak this box during this performance. I've just kind of found something. I'm going to leave it alone, and just for the most part, not use the bass spot right here, as not change the sound of it too much. I might just use the cutoff knob a little bit, but that's about it. So what we got right now sounds like this. I want a delay on that. So that's without the effect. Radically different. And the other patterns don't really work with this. It's just too much. You know, that one's not bad, but that one's actually all right. I can remember. Because sometimes it's cool to use one of these other patterns on this other stuff. So back over here. Now then, let's say I've got, who is this again? The Delta set. And I need to decide on what effects I want to use. Even if I'm going to use the Delta set for this part, I don't know. Maybe I will, maybe I won't. One thing I like about this thing, it's like the cable keeps pulling it back under. It's about as far as it will go. I need to get it further down. I don't know that I can. So I can grab the cables and carefully figure out what's holding them back. It's this guy. Aha. That's what it is. All right, that's pretty good. So right now, get my finger out of the way. There's nothing I can do. It's like everywhere we're at. Here we go. So you can kind of see it. Right now, I have the Delta set going to the oscilloscope. And let's see, so that's the Micro Freak, which I already forgot what patch I was going to use for this. Now check this out. So in this track, what I'm going to do is I'm going to assign this first encoder to a MIDI CC. There's a better way to do this, but this is the only way I know how to do this right now. And I'm going to change it to program change. So now when I I'm actually able to change the patch on the Micro Freak from the controller. And I have no qualms right now about using presets on a synthesizer, especially like the Micro Freak. I mean, the way I look at it, the first thing I want to do is I just want to like exhaust the presets on this thing. And then once I kind of, like I'll know what presets that I want to go for at that point. And then once I get past that stage, I'll start wanting to, now how do I actually create these patches? But, until then, it's like, hey, man, I'll just go fishing for something that sounds decent. What's interesting is now that I've already chosen that program change on the Micro Freak, if I save this, which I should do right now, then every time when I start this up, which is a kind of a disadvantage, I think like every time I play, it's sending a program change, which is not harmful per se, but it's wasteful. And there's a better way to do this, I think. Haven't figured it out yet. Then after that one, we've got the cat and the D, I think. So this is channel 4, and this one is channel 5. Yeah, so 4, I have to keep reminding myself. 4 is cat and 5 is model D. And those two. So everything going is pretty fun. And the drums. And yeah, you get the point. So that's kind of established. From here, it's just a matter of playing around and going from one to the next, dropping the drums out, doing some other stuff, adding effects to things, which I haven't done a whole lot of yet. Got something on the Pro 1 right here, but I think that was just when I was tuning earlier. So let me check chat, just because I've got to keep reminding myself to do that. Nobody said anything, so if you say something, remind me to check chat to see if you said something. Okay, from here, what I want to do now is think about adding another guitar pedal to the TT303 chain. And I want to talk about a technical difficulty problem that I had yesterday. It made me want to cry. It'd be really cool if I could recreate it, and I don't want to recreate it. I probably could, but no. So let me show you this, if I can find it. Yeah, here it is. Well, darn, it's plugged in right now. I'm not going to show that to you. Sorry. So underneath the cat is a device that I built that I use to power 9-volt devices. And it works fine. Apparently, however, the B-Tronic Swarm has a pretty possibly beefy current draw. And I was powering the B-Tronics with said device, which is currently powering my Korg Electribe EA1 and ER1. It was also powering the Volca Kick. Right now, the Volca Kick is not being powered off of it. The reason why is because I was hitting the kick, and I was getting this, and I couldn't figure out where it was coming from. I'm thinking it was either coming from the EA1 or the ER1, or was it coming from the TT303? I had that muted, but I didn't think about the Electribes over here, so maybe that's where it was coming from. I mean, I had the kick muted, I had the TT303 track muted, and I was getting this. So even though I was hitting the kick, right, so it was muted, and we weren't hearing the kick. I was still getting this. It was pretty quiet, but it was definitely an electrical excuse me, an electrical kind of static kind of discharge. And I think the reason why is because I was just having too much current draw off of my custom built power supply unit, whatever you want to call it back here. So right now, the swarm is being powered off of yonder power strip using an EHX power wall wart. And what else is going on? I can still use this to power another pedal. I don't think that if I use something like my Behringer VD400 vintage delay, I think this will do the trick. Now, what I have to do, unfortunately, is I have to take my breakout cable and stretch it out even further, which, you know, what are you going to do? So I want to mute this channel so we don't hear any pops, hopefully. And I'm also going to have my headphones on so I can better monitor. If we do, I'll suffer the same fate as you if you're listening to headphones right now. So let me get this. It's pretty tight. It's close. And power it on the side here, unfortunately, which is a far reach. So I'm probably going to, wow. It's always a struggle finding the right place to put a power jack on a guitar pedal. What am I looking for? I'm looking for one of my patch cables, one of my guitar patch cables. And let's see if this is going to reach. If it doesn't, I've got a longer one that will work. I think this will work. Now, this does not have any kind of tempo, whatever that's called. I don't need that. So I'm going to, darn. Hear that noise already? Ooh, I hate noise. I don't know about you. Okay, I'm not going to worry about that right now. It's sorry, I'm trying to explain something and I don't know what the heck I'm trying to say. So let's just move on. How's that for fun? Yeah, that's what I thought. It's an impedance issue. I'll explain that in a second. Let me get some kind of a reference with some drums. I think this was, actually everything's unmuted. This should be kick and just the hi-hats on the ER1. Aha. No. Okay, so a couple things going on. We're hearing the DFAM. I'm not hearing the kick. Why not? Because it's muted. That's why. Okay. This is what I wanted. Here we go. Okay. Yeah. Oh my God. Okay. Heckin' yeah. So let me explain what was going on there. So that I should have been clued in. Sorry if I blew anybody's ears out. That was kind of loud, but I think that there's like a compressor level, a limiter on top when you're streaming, which kind of is there for your protection and my protection from you, yeah. Okay. So what I'm saying is that I had the signal chain is thus: bass spot going directly. No, I'm sorry. Back up. This gets a little confusing. Sorry. It's almost direct, but it's not quite. Bass spot going into the patch bay. The patch bay going in, blah, blah, blah. So we get over here to the mixer, and I'm taking the insert out. I feel like that's clipping. Insert out, coming over here to the swarm. So the swarm effectively is like in series with the whole chain. So bass spot, swarm, then to the mixer. And this bypasses the, let me think about that for a second. No, the preamp feeds into the swarm. That's kind of the downside to this, in my opinion. I would much prefer to have the signal just going into the swarm and then the insert coming back and then feeding into the preamp. But that's not really what the insert is for necessarily, I don't guess. Yeah, the insert is really for like a compressor, which you can want to put before you go into the gain stage, and that's makes be nice if there was a switch, and if it was like a really really nice mixer, it might even offer that. Okay, so I had everything gain staged according to what was coming out of the swarm. As soon as I put the VD400 into series with everything, it changed everything. And it's not that it's amplifying the volume; it's that it's an impedance mismatch. I think. Well, it's not really a mismatch. It's just there's a huge difference in impedance, and that was just like allowing this signal coming out of the swarm to just suddenly, so before, I think the better way to think of it is that before, when the swarm going directly into the Behringer, that was the impedance mismatch. See, this is what we talk about when we say like guitar pedals are not always the best for synthesizers and mixers. That's kind of why. So in this particular case, and this was something I was dealing with yesterday when I was first setting all this up, was the TT303 was too quiet. And that's an issue with this pedal because you want to be able to hit it softly. Maybe I'll get into that later. But for a pedal like this particular one, it's better to have the volume more down than up. So instead of being like 75% up, you want it 25% up instead. And then from there, you can have some play. You can start to turn it up more, and it doesn't actually increase the volume. It changes the tonality of it because it's a fuzz pedal. Okay, so that's a conundrum, meaning that you don't want to hit the signal into the pedal very hard, but yet you still want to get a strong signal coming out of the mixer. And I was not able to get a strong signal coming out of the mixer because of this impedance mismatch. Bingo, answer. Bingo, throw another pedal into series with it, like this pedal. Whoa, I just triggered the power accidentally by picking it up. So this is allowing the impedance, like now the vintage delay is sort of taken over the impedance level. So it's able to match what's coming out of the swarm, and then to give, because it's a Behringer and it's a Behringer mixer, right? I think that's a coincidence, but it's able to better match what's going on with the mixer. And that's why we heard this horrible noise, which you can't hear now. That's okay. I don't know why. Okay, so back to where the heck was I? I want to try to find a good delay setting for this. So let me do that now. Okay, so let's see here. Now, do I really want that? Because it's, I'm already dealing with a very filled up kind of sound. There's not a lot of space in here. And I'm thinking to myself, I'm going to use something like this. Why not bring out one of the big guns? So what I was hoping to get was more of just like a really clean kind of delay, but it's not going to be any cleaner than this. I don't think. I kind of like that though still. But I got a lot of work ahead of me that's not this. Now and also I've got to set the levels and everything. Man, I get my levels are all over the place. But hey, this is the start of the jam. Cool T, thanks for stopping by. What's going on? And hey, Brent, thanks for stopping by, man. I appreciate it. Oh man, no. No. Oh, that Tetsuo. Yeah. I was thinking of Tetsuo the Iron Man. When I saw Akira. It's so funny, man. It's like one of my favorite movies, and I love the poster because it's like the person on the poster is not Akira, and Akita is not even really one of the characters in the. I mean, he is, but I think I had to watch that movie 5 times before I actually started to understand. Oh, okay, I think I understand this movie now. It is so utterly confusing the first time you watch it. But hey, hope you're doing well. Okay, so where's my tea? Here it is. And what else is going on? So I am still neglecting the subharmonicon and the K2. I think I was going to use the subharmonicon on one of these, but I think I changed my mind. I shouldn't do that. Oh, I forgot also. The reason why the Delta Sep sounds so flat, not flat, but so uneventful, is because I made some changes to it the other night. I gotta see if I can remember what they are. First thing I want to do is find the right chord. Monophonic sequencer. That's a monophonic sequencer. I think I was using a flanger. I'm not sure I like that very much. Some of these mid frequencies are kind of wet. See what I did there? I was kind of feeling like it was like occupying too much space in the mid and bass range. But I might be better off using a delay. Don't know. Now this is not one drum machine. That's the kick with the ERA, but I'm not using the ERA's drum bass kick bass drum. If I add the T78. Green box with Domo on top of it. Say hi, Domo. Don't fart on the green box, please. So we'll set it on fire. We don't want that. I can actually change some of the effects from here. Some of the parameters, that is. Let's see if I can find one. Ooh, this is interesting. Should change the pan. Nope. stuck MIDI note. Now let's do what I said I was going to do. Maybe. Wait, it's the same stuff. Hang on a second. Oh well. I feel cheated. I'll have to figure all that out later. Track was muted. Why did I get a stuck MIDI note when the track was muted? That makes no sense. Oh, because it wasn't muted. This kind of works, but it kind of doesn't. You got to be careful with it. I might try to change one of the chords real quick. So now that I've got all of that stuff set up, and for that matter, my sequence is just set to this. I'm not going to worry about sequences right now. What I want to do is come over here to the TT303, shift gears over to the TT303 and try to come up with a couple more patterns. There's a few tricks I want to try to do with this particular jam. I want to try to crank it out. I was hoping to crank it out. Maybe actually stream a performance on Twitch tonight. Not me talking and doing all this kind of junk right here, but actually just trigger. Ooh, another trigger. Can't hear that trigger though. There we go. Knock out like an hour and a half of me just kind of mulling around, going through different sounds without any caring about if I'm adhering to 16 bars, 32 measures, bars, whatever. I don't care if I change off the tracks and all whatever, and just have fun, and then go back and listen to that and just allow it to sink in. And then tomorrow actually just work on like a 10-minute version, just post that to YouTube. The problem doing those videos like that though is man, it'd be so great to use OBS to record everything, because you can do all my video switching that way. But number one, it's really hard for me to do the video switching. Like, I'm a really terrible video switcher. And then number two is that whenever I record to OBS doing that, it's like it cuts out. It produces the worst recordings. I mean, maybe you've seen them before, but like I'll be here, and I'll be here, I'll be here. So it's like all of these frames get cut, and I don't understand why. I mean, I do. My computer can't handle it. So, but I've tried to lower the resolution. Same thing. So it's bizarre. You would think that being able to record, maybe it's because it's recording to my internal hard drive. If I had an external hard drive, it might be faster, provided that it has a fast data connection. Okay, so, but the problem with doing what I do is I have to get these cameras up here, all these cameras, recording to movie files to SD cards, and then for each one of those, I've got to sync the audio into them, and then do my stupid editing technique, because iMovie is terrible, to stitch them together, and then at least make sure that the audio is still synced up and nothing looks stupid. And it takes all day. It takes all day to do that. It's ridiculous. All right. Before I worry about that, and I'm going to turn off that, but I'm going to try this delay when I have it unmuted. Yeah, I can get the timing a little bit better on that, I think. I can't go any slower though. That's as slow as it goes. It's maybe a little bit better now with the swarm. That got really confusing quick. I like it though. Yeah, I'm not sure I'm going to use that delay, but for right now, I'm not going to worry about it. Okay, so here's how this works. Not the best patch for me to work with. Let's try it. Let's try a quick test though. Which one was the free? Because it might matter. I might actually have to have the track armed for it to send the program change. No, it didn't do that. What I thought it would. Wow, where were we? At least it's easy to get, like, in other words, for me to get the patch. How am I trying to say this? Sorry. In order for me to get the patch back, I can't. What am I trying to say? Sorry. In order to recall, in order for me to recall the patch that I was just using, all I have to do is twist this knob one direction and then back over one other click, and I'm good to go. I think it's maybe when the project loads. That's my. I don't know. It'd be nice to have some kind of a MIDI filtering thing where I can monitor all MIDI events that are being sent to what, and then I could really see what's happening. Until then, though, I just kind of have to guess. So, okay, that's preset 9, right? When I flip this, it goes to 10. Okay. It's called 261E. One of my complaints about the Microfreak, though, is that it's really kind of hard to find just what you're looking for. Just a simple patch. It's not just ridiculous, just a whole bunch of craziness. So I'm going to go to init way over here. Okay. What am I trying to do? So to do this, yeah. So whatever this scale is, I need to find another one. And I'm terrible at this part. Okay, so what I need to do is I need to go up a weird number. I want to pick like 2, which is just nuts. No, that's a whole step. I don't want to do a whole step. I want to do 3 because that forces me to get over to like. Yeah. So. So if that was 3 over from here, 1, 2, 3. So I need to go 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Yeah. me try that. This is where it gets fun. So I go to lab, number 9. Now I constrain this to the following notes. We get things a little crazy with the C sharp there. No, that's not a C sharp. That's an F sharp. Is that an F sharp? Oh, I'm so bad with this. No, C, D, E, or is that G? Is that F or G? Oh! I'm a sax player. For me, it's like everything is here. Okay, so with this, here's where it gets fun. Now, I select everything and I generate a whole bunch of patterns. Oh, that hits hard. These are not guaranteed to be in 6/8, but they're kind of supposed to be. Now here's where we have to be careful. We start getting into overload because it's like, so many of these. I need to get this effect off. And the next thing, of course, is determining where the 1 is going to be. And I'm at a T. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. And if it's not there, that's where I want the 1 to be, then I'll force it to be there. I'll do that later. That's the thing, is that these, because they're random, yeah, that's definitely starting somewhere weird. And how do you know where the 1 is? That's a great question. Let's check this out. I'll see if you can determine where the 1 is. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Is that what you picked? It's arbitrary. There's no wrong answer. But some may be better than others. Okay. See, these are almost more like in 3/4 than 6/8, which is a real subtle difference. So I kind of feel like all 3 of those can work pretty well, but I got to check out the rest of them. Yeah, that's a good lead part right there. So far, this is so easy to do if you can just kind of, if you got like a clear vision in mind, That little bow is like, it's cool, but I kind of wish it wasn't there on that one. Now, there are ways for me to take these and to do more with them, but I'm not good at that just yet. I haven't really fully unlocked and mastered this thing yet. And I am neglecting chat. I'm sorry. One of the things that makes it hard is like I need a marker. If I could see a marker, then I would know what's going on. Oh, synth punk music. No, not. I mean, it's a lot of a lot of punk rock music made with just like synthesizers could easily just be labeled either as happy hardcore or GABA at this point. So it's kind of weird. So like if I were to try to do some like punk rock music, what I would really love to do would just be to try to cover some Skinny Puppy tunes, to tell you the truth, maybe some Ministry tunes, stay the hell away from 9 Inch Nails, and just try to stay completely underground, just try to do all the stuff that people, even Jesus, I'm not Jesus, Mary Chain. The name just escaped me. But oh well, it'll hit me. It'll come to me here in a second. It's saying Lucretia and Mother Russia. I can't remember the name of the band. Maybe you'll help me out. Okay, that one's awesome. See, that's what I'm saying. It's like you've got to go through them all, and you just start to get bogged down. Be like, okay, but one will just hit you upside the head. All right, look at those two, 10 and 11 right there. So I got my bass and my lead right next to each other. See, I could use that one too, but I'm not going to. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab, even though I want 1 through 4 as well, I'm going to grab 10 and 11 right now and copy them. Come back over to my main whatchamacallit here, and I'm going to start here, I think. I'm going to paste those in right there. Another thing I'm going to do is I'm going to change the LED color to green, just pick another color. And that way I know visually, can't really, I wish, see again, see, I run the risk of forgetting to move away from this when I walk away. So that's the problem. There we go. Now you can see what I'm doing here with this box a little bit better. So it's cool. You can change the LED colors, and that way I know, all right, these colors are all for one section. These colors are all for another section. It's arbitrary. You pick whatever color you want, and you go from there. Since everything is temporary, and I'm like, we just move on when I'm done, it's a lot easier to work with. But if I was actually trying to build something more permanent, take a lot more thought. And that's where, that gets a little bit problematic, because you realize, oh, I really want to have a new pattern right here on number 4, and I want to kind of put it in the middle and have everything move. And nope, it don't do that. You got to literally copy and paste each one and do it carefully. All right, back over to the lab. Track 9. By the way, so this has 9 tracks. And what's cool about, and the reason why it's called the bass bot, and what's cool about the tracks in lab mode is they become personalities. So right now I'm in a sailor personality is what I call it. This is the drunken sailor, which likes to do things in 6/8. I might skip one. Maybe I do want one again. No, I don't. What's wrong with 3? I want 2 and 4, but I want one more. Let's check out 5. Yeah, we'll do 2, 4, and 5. So I'll grab 4 and 5 right quick, since they're next to each other. I'll put them here. Come back to the lab, and I'll grab 2, copy, back to where I was. And to tell you the truth, I'd probably just stay on track 9. That would have been smartest, if I was not being stupid right now. But old habits are hard to break. Nope, paste, not copy. Oops. See, I screwed myself over with that one. Where was I? Oh, darn. I wanted 2. That's right. Copy. And then paste. There we go. And then those LEDs change to green. So yeah, really what I should have been doing is I should have been just staying on track 9. And then that way I just change this one knob back and forth when I want to copy and paste patterns back and forth. Now you got to get out of the lab. You need to get back over to, write mode, so that when you get into play mode, when you go to edit, you can perform on this thing. You can find like cool, and if I like that, this is where it gets to be kind of like the pocket operators. I can actually save that as an effects parameter, so to speak, and then say that what I would do is I would copy that pattern to a new slot, and then I would use the loop edit to save those settings, so to speak. Those I don't know what to call them. Alterations, where they're not effects is the thing, is what I'm trying to say. They're modifiers. They're I don't want to call them performance modifiers, and there's something better. They modify the accents of the notes. They modify the octave of the notes. And it's pretty cool. You got to be careful though. Some things don't sound so good. I've done that before accidentally. Okay, so now I've got 4 new things to work with. Let me check them out real quick. Let's see if we can get the repeat on this thing better. It's really hard to find the sweet spot on this pedal because the range is so short, and like you just touch the knob and it just changes everything. That's like the best I can get it, I feel, and that is all the way cranked down. If I start to shorten the delay time any. I'm just gonna leave it at that, I think. Now the question is which waveform is better, square or triangle? Probably square. Excuse me, I can't talk right now. Sawtooth. To tell you the truth, I prefer square. Yeah, it reminds me, we gotta fix these as well. But that is gnarly. You can't change the LED color in play mode either. Okay, so let me get this off of this effect, and let me fix these up now. What I mean by that is I want to get the ones where I want them to be. This is fun. It also helps if there's no delay. Okay, so where is it? So it's about 3 or 4 off. How's that for awesome? Sorry. That's where I want it. Okay. Now where do I want this one? 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Okay, think about this for a second. Okay, I need to go back. Yeah, boom. I'm getting better at this. First, you gotta figure out, am I ahead or am I behind, and then which way how many steps do I go from there? So I want the one on the boom. That one's already on the 1. 1, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. Okay. And 2 more to go. 2, might not be, that might be 5. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. I think it's 3. That's right on the 1 too. That's amazing. 1, 2, 3, 1. Boom, boom. Was that pickup note? So I shifted it back 1. That's why I hit the back key. Okay, now I got my fixed patterns. Now what I want to do, let's think about where I want to put them on the pyramid. The pyramid has a lot of tracks you can work with, but within a track, you can also have patterns. So it's like an overloaded feature that they added. They overloaded the step button while you're in track mode to allow you to get the patterns. It's a little, but you know, once you get used to it and a little comfortable with it, it's really, really powerful. Okay, so my decision here though is, do I want to, again, I've only got 4. It's like if I do it that way, I feel like I want to get another pattern. So I have 2 choices here. I can either stack these patterns to these parts, these existing parts, as new patterns with a capital P, or I can add them as new tracks. And I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to add them as new tracks. And they'll be down here on this row. So I know that all my drums are over here. And I'll keep these 2 blank. It serves as a nice visual indicator. See, again, I'm forgetting to change the camera view. I know I was going to do that. So here we go. Let me start over. So these are my drum tracks. And these 5 will be part A, and then these 4 will be part B. I'll probably just leave these 2 blank. What I might try to do with this jam, if I get all this done and set up, is go up here to this next bank of tracks and set up a master track, which will be a master transpose track. And then what I could do is I could actually have it go through and do a chord progression in a sense, transpose everything by chord progression. See how that works out. Might be a complete disaster. Okay, so this is where it gets fun. I'm going to just copy the synths that I'm using straight down, and I'm going to change them later, but I don't want to think about what they're going to be because, you know, I'm going to start out with them being the same, and then if I want them to be different, I'll change it later, because that way I don't have to worry about too many effects. I'm trying to keep the number of synthesizers that I use in these jams kind of limited. 5 is a pretty good number, and 5 meaning 5 tracks, you know, or 5 generated parts, and then move them about. And then if I need to add any sort of other stuff extraneous, like I've got the Lyra 8 that I can just throw in there, for example, the Pico system to do whatever, all kinds of stuff. Hey, I didn't show you this yet. This is funny. Well, let me think about it when I do this for a second. Yeah, okay. So let me do this. We're going to go to, I'm going to call up the TB03, the Roland Boutique. And I'm going to mute my voice so you don't hear my horrible voice, and you should be hearing me sing into this microphone. Hang on, let me change the camera. If all works correctly, I'm going to sing into this microphone with my horrible voice, and you won't hear it, don't worry. You're going to hear the TB303 of the TB03 instead. Okay, I lied. Of course it didn't work. Well, darn. I'll have to sit here and figure that out for a second, but there's a number of things that I changed. I mean, that should have worked, but I don't know why it didn't. Oh, well. Okay, well, here's one thing. I'm not actually getting a signal coming in. Maybe that's why. Huh. Go figure. Oh, yes, of course. Of course. I see what's going on now. There's no signal going in. Duh. Okay, so I need to patch that in. Outputs into inputs. There we go. Much better. I still don't know if this is going to work or not. Nope, now it's some other issue. But we're getting closer. We're getting closer. Oh, well. I tested this earlier. It worked. It was brilliant. Because I'm already able to do something like this, I think. Yeah. Testing 1, 2. Testing 1, 2. So the CV gate is coming out of this and it's going over here successfully to the neutron, but it's also supposed to be coming over here into the pyramid right now. And it should get picked up and convert the CV gate to MIDI and send that MIDI over to the TB03 because that's the active track. I had it working earlier, but you know, when I tried to do this yesterday, it didn't work. I didn't change anything and I got it to work today and now it's not working. So don't know why. Okay. As I said before, I can't worry about that. Got to move on. Got to move on. Okay, so let's do this. That was the delta. So, and I've got to be careful here because my MIDI definition files have not been updated since I changed everything, and I keep forgetting to do that because I'm so lazy. And it's also because every time I update my MIDI files, I turn around and I change everything anyway. So it's kind of like it's never-ending process of changing my MIDI configuration files. When I call this track, when I don't want to, when I say call, it's so misleading, right? That's what it is. It's called call. On the pyramid, it's called call. What are you going to do? When I call, and basically allows me to pull up a MIDI definition file. Cool. So the next one is the freak. Now I know for a fact this one is not going to call the correct MIDI channel when I pull up this definition file, but I'm going to do it anyways because it gives me the it allows me to pull in the MIDI CC definitions, and it also instantly names the track for me, which is really cool. But however, as you see, it's playing the strike FET because I move the MIDI channels around. So that's on B, on 4, but it really needs to be, excuse me, that was on the USB track 4, but it needs to be MIDI B track 5. And if I come over here to the original track where I was and do this number again, then I should be back on the original patch that I was on. This is the DO5, so this should work when I call it. Right out the box. And we got one more to go. So here is now this is interesting. I definitely do want to change the next one. And I'm going to use the EO1 this time, the EA1 this time. Okay. Now here's where it gets fun. First of all, I got to do one more horrible step. I've got to change this to each one of these. Now I've got to change the time signature to each one of these tracks. I have to change the time signature to 6/4. It should be 6/8, but there's a resolution thing that I still have yet to figure out with the pyramid. So I'm just rolling with it. 6/4 works, so I'm going to use that. Okay, got all that set up. I'm on my first new track. I arm this. I flip these two switches. Hit record. Boom. Go to the next track. Hit record. Next one. Next track. And last one. No, I do have 5. How did that happen? Change it to 6/4. We'll do this. Just for now, we're going to do ER1 again, but we're going to do the second part. And they both sound kind of similar, but I'll change them later. Last one. Okay. Now I know everything sounds kind of very, very chaotic right now. It's because I had those things going. That's why. Now let me do this. I'm going to mute the TT303 so we don't hear it. And most importantly, back here, let me make sure my BPM is back where I need it to be, because unfortunately that changes it. Thank you. Okay, here is the new pattern on the delta. Is that right? The micro freak sounds kind of weird. Z05. And I'm going to do both ER at the same time. I think it's going to work. Okay. Before anything, save. Make another cup of tea. All right. That pretty much. Hey, Nerfy, thanks for stopping by. Can't get it to work here at work. Oh, no. I presume that means you can't see the live stream or something. I don't know. I think I'm still streaming. Is my computer, how's my computer doing? Let me check on my computer. Oh, my God. I tell you, this streaming thing is taxing on CPUs. Our poor computers can barely handle it. Okay, but now I've got the foundation necessary. Just really, that's it. From here, it's a matter of figuring out what doesn't work and trying not to do that. Trying to stay away from what doesn't work. Everything else is fair game. So I still have a lot more work to do. I've got right now the TR08 and TR09, the ER1, a little bit on the TT78, and a kick pattern all sequenced in, but that's, they're not broken up or anything. Like, I don't have any way to easily just mute certain parts off of one of the drum machines. I may not need to. As it stands, I mean, I've sort of got them isolated enough. Like these two parts are they're like how do I say this? You know, they're so affected that they lose their ability to deliver punch. So they become, what do they become when that happens? Like there's no, like, so you've got this drum part, right? And there's no longer any oomph left to it. And instead it's just sort of like this layer of icing on a cake, you know? It still is useful. It still has value. But by itself, it's not going to be satisfying. And that allows me, though, to same kind of thing as if you do like a filter sweep. So without having to do a filter sweep, which is a very easy way to do things, if I can program it incorrectly, then all I got to do is just take away the other drums and leave that behind. So for example, what I find the hard part to be is a lot of times I'll have a part going, and when I make a switch, that part will still be going into the new part, and I should have stopped it. And then from there, it's a question of, okay, how long will it be before I notice that it's still going? And it could be a long time. You know, I go back and listen to some of the jams I've done, like, oh, I wish that I had like stopped that part a long time ago. But I didn't. And yeah, so this room does not look like that. Everything is opposite. I don't know why YouTube flipped my camera around. Surely there is some way to flip it back, but I don't know how to do that. And I don't think I'm going to try. One of the things that I've learned when you're doing streaming is that sometimes if you want to make an adjustment, it could kill everything. I actually one time tried to add a new window layer to OBS. I was like looking at an application or something, so I wanted to bring that in so that everybody. Oh yeah, I was looking at a PDF, so I was just wanting to show a PDF in as a display in OBS, and had to restart the computer. Like, oh, that was bad. You can't see some pedals that I've got down here. I got a couple Mr. Black pedals. I've got the Lyra 8 going through the Blood Moon, Blood and Chrome directly. I want to change what's going into the oscilloscope. Instead of the Delta, we'll bring in Lyra 8. There we go. You can kind of see it a little bit. But I can see it. This actually helps me, believe it or not, because I know if I could get close to a stable waveform, then I might actually be able to get like right on one. Like watching mountains. All right, water's boiling. I need another tea, something desperate. So, yeah, I don't think this is going to be a regular thing, me streaming on YouTube. I just, hey, you know what? I've never actually even tried to stream on YouTube. It seems kind of hypocritical of me to make any opinions about such and never have even tried it before. Every time I see someone else, streaming on YouTube, everything seems to be kosher. So, hey, I'll try it. What the heck? Now, I have no idea how it sounds. I'll have to go back and listen to that. So that's why this is a test stream. And water is boiling, being transferred to cup with a tea bag inserted inside. I like to let the water kind of cool down a little bit before I add it to the tea. Let it breathe or something. By the way, this little synthesizer I would love to get into the mix. I don't use this anywhere near as much as I would like to. Soulsby at Megatron. Now, that's kind of an ugly... but hey, go find one of these. Go find one of these. Good luck. I saw this and I was like, man, I'm grabbing it. I don't care how ugly it is. It's these things are hard to get. And it was a good price. I can't complain. The other cool thing is that it comes with overlays, which I might be able to grab one. Maybe not. Things are always easier when you think about them than when you actually do them. So here I have no idea where my overlays are, so maybe I shouldn't try to do this right now. Man, I got a bunch of manuals in here that I forgot that I had. Oh, here we go. There's the Soulsby manual. Everything's about to fall over now. Man, I thought that I had lost this box, and I was pretty sad. So this is kind of like the DFAM and the subharmonicon. You've got these overlays. In fact, the Pyramid's got an overlay too. So at any given time, you know, I can make it look like it's supposed to look. And that's not particularly awesome either, like white with a bunch of stark colors, but hey, you know, who am I to judge? It's a really cool synthesizer. This is the one that I like to use as well as the, it's called, so each one of these is a different synthesizer. So this synthesizer has a, you know, you can, it's hard to explain. They're really the same synthesizer, but it's like they changed the synthesis algorithms, the internal kind of foundation, how the sounds are actually built up. So this one is more based off of like a mini Moog, for example. That's why it's the color that it is. And you know, it's called the Megatron, and it's like, you know, okay, this one is like a virtual analog sounding. So it's got like a lot of different patches that you can pull out of them, and they're all different virtual analog type sounding stuff. Wow, that's hard to say. The Delayertron and the Cyclotron. So I think the Cyclotron, what it does is it cycles through different wavetables. Get really crazy sounding effects with that. But the one that I'm using right now is the Megadrum, and it's really interesting. Like the interface changes. So now one of these dials is set up to be the actual 16 part pattern that drum machines have. It's pretty slick. Pretty slick. There's one for strings, which is just your like typical string synthesizer type kind of sounds. I bet that would sound really good through the vintage ensemble that I have over here that you can't see. Let me get these back over somewhere safe. So from here, I guess what I could do is try to set up some sequences, which is something I'm still trying to get the hang of. When it comes to the Lyra 8, each one of these oscillators, one of these 8 oscillators, the one over here is the lowest, and this is the highest. So that's pretty much the difference in them, is the range, where they start, where they stop. So right now we're just listening to this half. And this is the, I'm doing something that's causing that, sorry. There we go. I mean, it was just like, that's almost like an LFO mode. So that's the highest that one goes, and the next one a little bit higher, not really, quite a bit higher, and then kind of the same thing. But right now, like, you know, because the way these buttons are set up, the mod and everything, it changes the behavior of how they interact with each other. It's actually provides a form of FM synthesis, is what is so cool about the Lyra 8, and it's totally analog. There's no operator-based digital algorithm stuff going on. So it's just, you know, true classical frequency modulation. And all that is you've got an oscillator that's modulating another oscillator. But the FM synthesis works on a different foundation base than analog synthesizers. And as such, it's pretty much completely different. All right, adding my special tea enhancer. Boost the flavor of tea instantly. At least in my case, cut the horrible aftertaste with something that tastes much, much, much better. All right, so what I'm going to do now, like I said before, I guess, is just maybe try to set up some sequences. And then what I would need to do next is effects, but here is where I prefer to do that when I'm sort of performing and just let what happens happen. So, like, in other words, if I'm performing, even though it's completely casual, I'm more in a mindset to treat things more seriously. Whereas like right now, I'm just kind of like, yeah, whatever. So with effects, it's cool because like I'm really kind of in the moment, focused on things. And change that again. I need to move. I wish I could move the switcher up somewhere. That'd be so much better if I could get it up here somewhere. But underneath is where it needs to be right now. It's where it has to be right now. I need to say, meant to say. So if I'm performing, I'm more focused. And then when I've got all the effects set to where I kind of like them, and it, like magic starts happening when that's what I like about that stage. So it's more fun. Like I'm not talking, I'm not trying to explain things. I'm just in the moment. And then magic starts happening. And then from there, whatever I'm left with, then when I pick up the next day to actually do a concrete jam, that's where I start from. And if I want to change things, then I change things. I might say like, okay, that effect was too much. Things like that. And notice I'm not using headphones right now. I'm using a guitar amplifier. It's this tiny 10-watt guitar amplifier. I don't need to mix this down to perfection. I just need to make sure that things are lined up and in tune and, somewhat reasonable level. So that works pretty well, and it keeps my head nice and comfy. Pardon the sipping. The issue that I have with the headphones in this headset is it constricts my temple. It's the only issue that I have. Like, this headset was not really meant to be used with a pair of headphones like this, I don't think. So that's on me. Maybe a lapel would have been better, but I don't like lapel mics. I can't stand them. I prefer headset mics. It took me a while to get this set up correctly, and actually, what I really need to do is figure out what's going on with these effects, so I can get like some really, really cool effects going with this. And oh, that's too much. Sorry. I saw the button that said preset, and that was not the preset. That was the gain. Oops. Because this has 99 or like 100 different effects, and I don't know how to access them. It may need one of those. Hello. That's the AB. One of those foot switches to go through them all. Okay. Rock metal, pop R&B. Well, that sounds really bizarre. And this is just whatever effects. So I think I can add I can add reverb. This will allow me to do other stuff. One of these days I'm just going to go through and figure this pedal out. I really want to get it back to where it was, though. What I like it with right now, there's no effect set, but what it's doing is it's using like a custom equalization that really sweetens up the sound really nice. Then of course I've also got further equalization going on the board to get my voice sounding even better. And I probably should work on that. Right now it kind of sounds a little like it could be better. Testing 1 2, testing 1 2, testing 1 2. Here we go. So if I was very, very quiet earlier, I do apologize. That probably sounds better. Maybe not. All right. So sequences. How does that work? Right now, you're looking at all the tracks. You can't really see it. Some of them are lit, and some of them are dimly lit. So right now, they're all dimly lit. I'm going to select this one. Yeah, you can kind of see that it's brighter now, but you're going to have a hard time seeing that on this camera, so I do apologize. Let me change something. while I'm here, let me mess around with some stuff. Let me do this as well. I'll select a couple more. I can't talk. I will select a couple more tracks. Okay, that's actually very interesting. Because at least with this, you can see the pads a whole lot better, and you can almost see what's on the screen. So even though everything is very, very dark, what is this one? This is Concert Light. I'm going to go through a few more and come back to this one if necessary. Okay, that one's better. That one's Concert Low Light. Concert Hall, which is okay, but oof. Okay, that one's really good, actually. I like this one. Jazz Club. Dance Club is better for everything else but that. So that's what we want is Jazz Club. There we go. Okay. Now, so we are in track mode. You can see that the yellow button is lit. When I go to sequence mode, this is the part that took me a long time to wrap my head around. Right now I have one sequence, and that sequence is whatever tracks are muted or unmuted. If I want to save the state of that, it gets really complicated. I have to hit record. And now, whatever tracks I pick, I don't want to pick that one. These are now saved to that sequence. If I want to make a new sequence, here's what gets me. Is the way that I would work. Ow, I just stepped on something. Is I would want to move around and like change the tracks, like, okay, cool. Then I get to a point to where I'm thinking to myself, hey, I like that. Now I want to say this as a sequence. That's not how this works. What I have to do instead is I have to say to myself, okay, I'm at the starting sequence before I make any changes. Make a new sequence. Make sure record is armed. Now I can start doing my changes. And when I get it to somewhere where I'm like, okay, that's what I want, turn off record. And now, when I go back, this also allows me to just solo a part, and then now what's unfortunate, oh, it did work, okay, that's awesome. So if I change things, and I want to go back to what I had before in the sequence, I just hit it again, and it goes back. So that's pretty cool. I was mistaken. I was thinking that, because this is the sequence I'm on, when I hit this button, it won't go back to what it was. But no, it does. It does. It just took me, I had to completely reframe the way that I thought about things because I was under too many assumptions about how I was thinking this should work. And it took me a long time to figure, oh no, you need to rethink things. Crank the volume down just a little bit on the Vox. Okay. Fun. Man, this is how I roll. Hate to use the parlance like that, but that's what's going on. Now I've got an issue. Watch your volume real quick. I need to address this momentarily. First thing I want to do is let me go to this track. There we go. Okay. The issue that I'm having is the cable that I'm using coming out of the June 60. And I'm using an adapter, and I really need to go back and replace it with something else. It's definitely makeshift and kind of shoddy what I'm doing. I mean, I'm using all of like a lot of these connections. I'm using a few of these connections that I have in here are like, they're a little bit suspect. Excuse me, digestion. Anyways, the one that's coming from the output of the June 60, I have to be careful because it will intermittently go out. And it's like, oh, it's really annoying. So I think actually, like in one of these most previous jams that I uploaded to YouTube, I thought I was using the June 60, but I don't think I was actually coming through in the audio. So, oops. I have no way of knowing either because it's all buried in the mix. So it probably wasn't there. It probably wasn't there. I'm pretty sure this is. Oh yeah, well, that's the best way to test it. It does feel like it's pulling a little to the left side though. There's not too much I can do about that apart from finding it on the mixer where it's coming in. Okay, that was on me because I had it panned a bit to the left, but the reason why I had it panned a bit to the left was because, well, okay, let me back up. I sound so cool. Okay, I learned a hard lesson about my signal flow. You have to be careful with aux buses and using effects with your aux chains. So I've got like 1, 2, 3, 4, 6 auxes coming out of this thing right now, and only 2 of them are feeding back into the board. The rest of them I have to be careful with because they'll cause these horrible phasing issues. And I can demonstrate for you real quick. So hang on. There we go. This is the cat without any effects at all. Now I'm going to take it to the B09 right here. Hear that? And mostly the reason why that's happening is because the signal is going from the cat to the aux chain is going to the pedal, but then the pedal is going to a mixer down on the rack underneath everything. And that rack is coming back up to one of these 2 channels here. And that is adding just enough of a delay to cause a phasing issue. It's delaying it just by a fraction of a millisecond. I mean, it's a fraction of a cycle, of a hertz cycle. And it's just enough to cause that. Now, I can deal with it. I can totally deal with it because how I can deal with it is that, so let me back up though. What I've decided to do is 2 pedals can't deal with it. That's the June 60 and the Ocean 11. So those 2 feed back directly into the mixer. So they're FX1 and FX2, and I'm overriding the internal effects on the mixer, and they're coming back directly into the mixer where the internal effects would be coming into, and that prevents the phasing issue. So for those 2 pedals, it makes a lot of sense because number 1, they're stereo. Number 2, even though, well, okay, the June 60 is totally this way because you can't change the mixed signal. It's full on effect or nothing at all. Whereas you can kind of do that with Ocean's 12, but I was getting really bad phasing issues with that as well doing the other method. Now I'm going to get phasing issues using all the other stuff, but if I need to, I don't have to have it coming into the main bus. So for example, let me go back to this. With the cat, when I introduce it to the B1, well, if I take it off the main, it's gone. And it sounds just fine. It's when they both try to mix together, that's when the issue happens. So it's really cool. So with these pedals, I can control the mix amount. And even though I can with the Ocean's 11, it's the June 60 that I can't. So the June 60 and the Ocean's 11, mainly because it's stereo, are the ones that are on there. The Hypnosis would be another good candidate. The Chaos Pad down here would be another good candidate. But yeah, I just kind of chose it to be that way, I guess. And maybe later on I'll mix it up. I'll decide later that no, the Mini Chaos Pad is a better candidate to be the one that needs to come back into the mixing board as opposed to coming down to an auxiliary mixer, which then piggybacks into the mix. You know what I'm trying to say? Oof, it's a mouthful. And yeah, it's not fun to try to figure out what the problem is and what the solution is either. Okay, sorry, I've been not reading chat, and I should be. Oh, thanks for the compliments. I appreciate that. Oh, that's so funny. Okay, I was reading Cool Teeth, trying to tweak the Uno synth, but his cat disturbed him so much. I guess that the cat was responding to the sounds. Cats are awesome. So I'm not mixing dry and dry signals. Hey, what's up, Randy? How you doing? Haven't heard from you in a long time. Hope you're doing well, man. Um, I'm sure I'm not mixing dry and dry signals. I'm not sure what you mean by that. I mean, that's probably what I'm doing. That's probably what I'm trying to say. But I mean, that's the only thing that I can figure is that because I'm extending the chain, right? The miles that the signal has to travel to get to its final destination. That delay is causing the phasing issue. Other than that, I mean, if there's another solution, that'd be great, but I've got workarounds, so I'm not too worried about it. But from here, it's just a matter of convenience. Like it's so much easier to say, like, okay, I can just crank that knob and not have to worry about it. Because otherwise, I've got to be careful with how things are mixed, gain structure wise, level wise, you know. And if I'm doing things on the fly, to be careful to kind of pulling in and, you know, it's going to be rough. There's always going to be a little chance to kind of do the wrong thing when you're doing that. Okay. But this is the other part of how I do things when I'm doing this, is to not. I mean, if I'm in the zone, I'm in the zone. That's great. But that usually means that I'm not talking to people. All right. So I won't be streaming. I'll just be like, you know, chopping broccoli. Like when I did this year's January. Man, I just was just chopping those out. And but the important thing to do is to shut everything down and walk away, which I'm not going to do just right yet. But in the process of me turning everything off, making sure everything is saved, turning everything off, that means when I turn it on the next time, if there's going to be any technical difficulties, I'm going to be forced to have to deal with them. And that's the intention. So that way, you know, like you keep doing this, repeating the process, then if you know, if you get to the point 2 or 3 times, 4 times, hopefully no more than that, when you turn everything on, it just works and everything's going the way you want it to. I may have to retune some of the analogs. That's okay. I'm prepared to have to do that. I understand, you know. The problem with that is you can tweak the sounds of the analogs so much that it's hard to tune them because their timbre is so tweaked out that it's hard to get just a solid nice tone that the tuners can pick up on. And and I've got oh me oh my, I think I've garnered enough experience with these synthesizers now that I'm starting to see like okay, like I've had X number of snags, you know, little difficulties and little things that I've had to overcome. And one of them is, you know, that I see other people having the same difficulties. And then how many times have you heard people complaining about the tuning issues with the Model D? Oh my God. So, like, here it is. That's in tune, I'm pretty sure, because I just tuned it a little while ago. So, here's something I discovered every once in a while. Well, let me back up first. Let's talk about the neutron. That was the first thing that I was like, okay, whoa, my neutron's broken. How many times have I said my neutron is broken? You don't know. You don't know these things about me. I must have said I must have come into the situation doing a jam. Oh, the neutron's broken again. 20 times. Okay. 20 times in the past 2 years, I must have said, my neutron's broken. What's going on? So the issue is using these with CV gate versus using these with MIDI. That's the problem. With the Neutron, if the Neutron doesn't initially receive a MIDI note, it doesn't know where it is. I mean, it will never be in tune. It will never, ever be in tune. So maybe there is an update that I need to, I haven't checked on the version of this. I may be behind. Maybe this is something they fixed. And again, I'm not 100% sure that I'm correct here. So this is just, rumor at this point. But so far, this is, my experiences and my testing, if you will. This has been pretty consistent. If I turn the Neutron on and I don't hit it first with the MIDI note, it sounds horrible. It's just, whoa, what is wrong with this thing? Sometimes if it's low enough, it will just, because it's the oscillator is oscillating at such a low frequency. It's acting like an LFO. And it's just like totally unusable musically. And what I discovered when I was in the situations and panicking a little bit, I said, okay, what do I do? Think. What else can I do here? Oh yeah, let's send it a MIDI note. Okay, yeah, because I was doing a CV jam at that point. I wasn't doing any MIDI stuff. So I don't even think I had the MIDI cable plugged into it. Perhaps when I first kind of figured this out, hit it, send a MIDI note to it, and boom, it was like, oh, it's back. Disconnect MIDI, go back to CV, and everything's working just fine. Come back the next day after everything's shut down, turn everything back on. Same problem. Neutron's going. Grah. Okay. Now over to the Model D. Same issue, but a little different consequence. A better consequence, but one that's equally frustrating, maybe even more frustrating. In that maybe you're already ahead of me. Maybe you've already guessed what's happening here. So the last time I did my CV only jam, no MIDI. I don't know if you can see the tune knobs. They're cranked all the way up. I was like, whoa, I wanted to get a C. And I was like, I can't even get a C. This thing, the knob won't go down far. And the C is supposed to be noon. And I'm having to go all the way counterclockwise to get to C, and I can't even get there. Why? Because I hit it with another note on CV. And what's going on is it gets stuck on that CV note. Now, if I hit G or whatever is at noon, wherever that tune is set to, that now becomes G. It's supposed to be C, but now it transposes. So a MIDI note will transpose the tuning knob. Now, when I come over here and I got a guitar pedal and I hit a C on my CV gate, for example, see what I'm going with all of this? It's way out of tune all of a sudden. Maybe this is all the crazy outing, like all the complaints that I've heard from people talking about their Model D just being wildly out of tune. Because otherwise, yeah, totally. Like in the wintertime, where I was at my old place, it would get cold in the wintertime where I was at down there. And in the summertime, it would start to get a lot warm, and the oscillators would change accordingly. And that's to be expected. That's the difference between Moog and sequential. Sequential generally uses microcontrollers and digital technology to help tune their oscillators. Correct me if I'm wrong on that one. I don't think they're true DCOs. I think they're actual VCOs, but they're still sort of tuned digitally, or they're kept in tune digitally. Whereas the WASP uses DCOs. There's nothing keeping them in tune digitally other than the fact that a DCO is easier to stay in tune than a voltage controlled oscillator. Wow. Okay. What would be really great is if I had some background music while I was doing all this stuff. Usually what I like to do is it'd be great if I could get rid of the there we go. That's one good thing that the hypnosis is. That's one thing the hypnosis is good for. It's just this crazy ambience that it can throw out at you. I've also got, can I do anything with this? I don't think so. Oh, because nothing's silly me. Nothing is coming out. So the way I've got the Erica Sense Acid box set up is it's only access through the patch bay. The only way that I can get something in and out of it is through the patch bay. And right now nothing's hooked up to it. So of course it's not going to do anything. The hypnosis comes back on one of the mixers down here, and it would be nice if I could get some EQ over it, but there's no way right now for me to do any EQing whatsoever on the output of what's coming out of the hypnosis. Excuse me, or for that matter, on anything that's coming out of the stereo mixers. Now, what I might do is I might remove one of my stereo mixers from the rack. And what I would do is I would put it over here instead. If you can see, I would just add it to this wooden bookshelf. It's wider than 19 inches, but that's okay. I don't care. I'd probably try to fit it like right here on the middle shelf. And what I would do is everything back here behind me would plug into that. And then the output of that would go through the vintage ensemble, then back over here to this mixer, I think. And I might move the strike fed over here if I do that. That would be the idea, is to get everything string synthesizer over here next to the vocoder. Which I love this thing. Did I mention I bought this from Pure Ambient Drone? Yep. He was selling this on Reverb, and I bought it from him. Absolute pristine condition. Excellent shipping. Good fair price. Happy home. That's all I can say. Oh, this thing sounds even so much better through the vintage ensemble pedal. But you can't see, it's down over here. Definitely one of my favorite pedals. All right, that's starting to annoy me now. We'll get it down to like about right there. And anyways, let me get these headphones off. That will help. So yeah, this has just been a test stream. And I appreciate y'all hanging around. The question is how will this jam start out? I definitely will not probably start out with the TT-03, although I could. I did want to. That didn't work out too well. That one could be better, maybe. Where's the first one? Unintended phaser sound. Nope, I did not. Excellent. So to get down to the next part, which you can't really see, what I'm going to do is I'm going to make a new sequence now. I'll select track number 9, which is below number 1. So I go back to track, hit record. this, I definitely have to have the TT303 muted because it's in a different key. I gotta be careful. I gotta be real careful there. So something like that. Then, like, you know, to get back. Lots of work to work on, but that's a start. Let me save this. And I will bid y'all adieu, which is French for saying I'm going to give you a due. Bid you, and you raise me one or something like that. All righty. Oh, Mauricio. Thank you for stopping by. And Randy, okay. Drive from the original source and the main bus, then drive through the external effect and back into the board. Well, okay, so what I'm doing is you got the main bus, and then I've got an aux channel going to the external effect. And then if I take it back to the original mixer, no phasing issue. If I take it to a secondary mixer, and then the output of that secondary mixer to a track on my main mixer, which is parallel to the original signal, that is what I think is causing the phasing issue. And it's it doesn't happen, however, if I pull out the original track. So if I just send the track to the aux bus and not to the main bus, and then so all of that, it's basically like, you know, bypassing that track altogether, and now it's coming out only to the auxiliary mixer from the effect, and then coming back to the main mixer. I mean, I know no other way to get all of these effects back to my mixer. There's no, I mean, that's the only way I can do it as far as I can see. So I guess, yeah, I'm sure that I'm not mixing dry and dry signals. Well, no, I am mixing dry and dry signals. That's the problem. Yeah, that's the problem. Is that second dry signal is coming in from the effect. And of course, see, the effect itself is a little bit delayed too, but I think if that mixed in with the original signal, it's not going to cause a phasing issue. There will be a little bit of one, but not as bad as you hear when it's the dry signals. Like the dry signals mix back together, you're going to hear horrible phasing issue if they're out of phase. But I'm going to estimate, though, if it's an affected one that's out of phase and it gets mixed back in, it may not be as noticeable. I don't know. I'd love to find a way to test that out. But like I said, I kind of think I have a workaround. And from here, I'm just waiting for the next new issue to arise, whatever that's going to be. And I have to keep reminding myself that, like, well, whatever it is, I introduced it. It wasn't just some random event that just suddenly creeped into my setup. Whatever it was, like, I did it accidentally. And in the case, you may have missed it before, but yesterday I had an issue with the Volca Kick because I was piggybacking the power source from the Volca Kick off of a number of other things. And it was the Beatronic Swarm pedal. I think was drawing more current than what I was using was rated for. And I was getting the weirdest anomalies. It was a sound issue, of course, but I've never dealt with anything like that before. And it's just seemed like my mixer was completely broken. And I had no clue where to even begin to track it down. But I did track it down. I figured, okay, what did you add? Well, you added the swarm. That's what's different. What did you do that was different? You added a new thing, Where did you add it to? Well, you added, to the same power supply that all these other things are powered off of. Well, what's the issue? It's one of the devices that's powered off of that power supply. Okay, I think we'll see what's going on. And sure enough, that was the issue. So the point I'm trying to get across is that I knew this before I set all of this stuff up. You've got to be prepared. You've got to be willing. Well, I'm trying to come up with better words. Sorry. What am I trying to say? It's like, you've got to be ready, prepared for things like this to happen, because they will happen. And when they happen, they're going to crush you, because if you've got 5 things set up, there's technical difficulty, you're not as stressed out. You may think it's stressful, but trust me, it's not stressful. You usually figure it out pretty quickly, or you find a workaround. That's the key, is that it's easy to incorporate a workaround, because you're using a smaller setup. It's easier to get something in there, to switch some cables around, to swap a device out. When you look at what you're looking at right now, there's no room for really anything to go in there. There's no room for like anything to be changed out. Like everything, I don't know how I worked it out that way. Luck, good luck or bad luck, that's yet to be determined. But like everything is it's kind of there. It's almost set in stone. So if something like the kick goes wrong, like the Volca kick, if that was what was giving me trouble yesterday. Let's say that boom, I can't use it anymore. It actually is now, I don't want to say broken. That's not the best way to state the problem, but it's just I'm no longer going to be able to use this in my setup. Well, it's got a power cable, it's got a MIDI cable, it's got an audio cable, and it's also got a spot on the patch bay. It's got a track on the mixer. You see where I'm going with all of this, and it's like, okay, well, what's going to replace it? And if anything goes wrong, like, okay, well, it's not just that the device isn't working. All the cables and everything that is the transportation, all of the logistics to make the sound and the MIDI get to that, and the power to get to everything. Why is it all there? Those cables are now being wasted. I'm now wasting those cables. I need to pull all of that and find some other use for it. See what I'm getting at? So that's why that's why it can really, really crush you when a technical difficulty happens. And even though, like yesterday, so I said, okay, now I want to add the Volca kick. I did this step, I did that step. Now I want to add the Volca kick. Oh crap, it's broken. Okay, well, you don't really need the Volca kick. I totally could have just used like the TT78 kick drum right now is sounding just as powerful as the Volca kick, because I'm not, crushing its frequency range with some crazy effects. But it's still in the back of my mind, well, the kick is broken. The kick is down. No man left behind. We've got to go in. We've got to save him. And yeah. So what I did is I just said, okay. At that point, I was feeling what we call crestfallen, and so I just shut everything down. I just shut it all down. I made sure that everything was saved and that I wouldn't lose any progress. And I just stopped everything I was doing. I said, okay, just stop. Take a break. Don't think about it. Just stop thinking about it. And I sat down where I'm sitting now. You can't see me. I'm over here. And I just, just thought, I was watching a friend of mine stream on Twitch playing a stupid video game, and I was just, okay, stay calm. What do you do? And just sure enough, the solution finally came to me. I think what I did in the process is I turned everything back on, tried a couple things that didn't work, turned it all back off again. So one of the things that I've gotten used to is turning everything on, turning everything back off, on and back off, just like it was one device. Because let me tell you, man, it is daunting. It is there's fear involved when you set all of this up. It's like it's sitting on top of you, and the weight of it is crushing you. Like this morning, I went and I if you look way over there on the far side of the room, you'll see that the amplifier and that red power light, the power indicator. There's a white power strip on top of it. That's the main power for all the synths right there in front of you, with the exception everything to the right. So the VC340, the SP24, the S2400, all that stuff over there on the left, including my the power for the vocal effects that I'm speaking through, all of that is on a separate power supply, so it's not affected by that. So, but that's the master kill switch over there. And this morning I had the master, you want to call it that, plug unplugged from the outlet in the wall in the kitchen because we had a thunderstorm last night, and that's just an extra measure of safety that I can throw in there to make sure that these are safe. And I forgot that I had it unplugged. Walk over, hit the thing. I'm like, oh yeah, you had it unplugged, dummy. So yeah, I mean, even that, there was just a brief moment when I turned everything on and nothing happened. And you're like, oh, okay, it's unplugged. That's all. That's all. So getting comfortable, like getting to the point to where I'm not afraid just to walk over and turn everything on and turn everything off, knowing that nothing's going to break. It's okay. It's all going to work when you turn it back on again. It takes a while. I mean, how long has it been now? 2 months, 2 months. And I'm still, I still have a bit of fear. I still have a bit of fear when I go to start a new jam, when I go to, want to stream. I've got one more issue that I have almost completely solved, and that is the cameras themselves and getting my computer to recognize the device driver to connect the cameras to, my computer. It's a pain in the butt. It's right now the issue is mostly cable based. Not all USB cables are made the same. Not all USB hubs are made the same. Uh, in this case, my ATEM mini switcher, which is the video device, I'm going to say that it uses every conductor in the USB cable that it needs. It's got power. It's probably transmitting and receiving. It's probably not. Maybe it is. And I never have a problem connecting audio or getting the audio drivers recognized in OBS or my computer. But, that's where it's important, is getting OBS to recognize them. That's where I'm using them. And crestfallen and analysis paralysis. I don't think they're quite the same. Analysis paralysis could lead to being crestfallen, but crestfallen is a state to where you've just given up. So if I was truly crestfallen, I would just pack all this up and sell it. Just walk away. It's the recent refreshing of that word game called Dark Souls is using it. There's a character that you meet at the beginning of the game. He's called the Crestfallen Warrior. And he's just sitting down at the beginning of the game, just like looking all depressed. And he's just like, oh, you're the latest hero to come. There's no hope. You might as well just sit down and just give up like me. Pretty funny. Oh, yeah. So ground loops and digital noise. I had to solve those issues when I set all this up. I had about 4 or 5 trouble spots. And I got them all solved, most of them dealing with just shuffling the wall warts around. What I recommend is to get a couple more power strips and to isolate, like to spread out your wall warts, get them off of onto a different power strip. And if that doesn't work, the old trusty opto isolator, you can get these for like $7. I saw one they're selling them for like $7 or $8 on Amazon. There's a coupon you can clip, so it's probably like $6.50. That's a lot. That's a lot less than I paid for mine. I feel like a sucker now. Oh well. And I've got 5 extra that I'm not using. Maybe I could sell them. But they're good. If there's no other way out of it, the opto isolators really do the trick. The downside is they're mini jacks. So you've got all kinds of things to deal with if you're using 1/4 inch. But the upside is that they're TRS. So they can handle stereo. They can handle common mode rejection. Well, they can carry a signal that is, set up for common mode rejection. I should say they don't perform common mode rejection. I'm trying to think. So yeah, but that pretty much fixed it. I'm going to do a separate video Maybe we can do this real quick because I've got a cable right here. We can plug this into the patch bay. This is kind of cool. This is the Soma Ether, and it's anti-radio. So what's cool about this is that you can use it to see, like, wow, what kind of interference that we're getting. So I'm going to plug this into the neutron. Well, I should say the track that the neutron is on. Now, I have no guarantee that this is going to work because, like, when you first do things, right? So what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to find like digital interfaces that are just super noisy. And nope, this ain't doing it for me. I'm not getting anything out of this right now. And I don't know why. Bear with me. Somewhat. Okay, we can kind of hear that. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this and I'm going to touch the contacts to the screen. You barely hear that, right? That's the screen of the S2400. Here's the pyramid. A little bit. I feel like there's something I can be doing to get a louder signal out of this. Like I'm doing something wrong. But I don't know what. It could be that the battery might be really low on this. Because when I did this last time, I was getting a lot stronger signal. But yeah, there's my radio. This is a really, really soft signal. There's something wrong here. I think it's the battery. And I've got to unscrew this to get a new battery in it, so I'm not going to do that. I was going to go swap out for a new battery. Let's see that. Here's the kick. Now the display on the kick, on like the Voca kick, should not have any noise because it's just an LED screen. But the the bass bot, listen to that. The beat bot, not so much. But a lot of this is the LEDs themselves, or the LEDs under the pads, whether or not they're on, and they are what is transmitting, is what is causing noise to be generated, or whatever the proper term is. If I come over to the boutiques, same thing, no noise because these are just LEDs, but the DO5 is a OLED and it's quiet. So I would suspect that it would be noisy, and it's really not. There's a bit of noise coming out of the electribes. You barely hear it. I don't really hear any noise coming out of the Spice, and nothing out of these, of course, they're all analog. But the Microfreak, oh yeah, listen to that. And I think it's really only because the display screen is on. But I'm not sure why this is so quiet. That's a little. I'm just going to have to crank it up, I guess. So here's the pyramid. Here's like the B1 on, the G1 on. That crossover between the two of them. The Microfreak, the TT303. Man, these have a bit of interference going on. I'm not sure what that's all about because they're analog, right? But they have a lot of digital components in them. All the sequencers, all digital. Now the beatbot's being very quiet, but it's because the LEDs are not lit up. So if I go to, say, time, here we go. Yeah, listen to that. So I basically just caused a lot of LEDs to light up. Let's go back over to the EA1. Pretty bad. But the other, I mean, the boutiques are fine. No, there is a bit of noise coming out of the DO5. It's almost like white noise or pink noise though. It's not a whining like that. The TC Helicon doesn't really do anything. The Shure itself, nothing. That's just interference that we're picking up. The VC340, nothing on it really. But here we get to the S2400, and of course the screen is going to give us this noise. My oscilloscope. Yeah, it's just the same noise through and through. The Delta Sep, not really. That's just noise that we're picking up. Nothing on the Mega. It's crazy. So I'm on top of the display for a Zoom B1 on. Now I'm going to go over to a G1 on that's right next to it. So that's odd. They're not all kind of generating the same noises. That sounds pretty cool. This is a fun little device. Okay. Especially when you add some effects to it. Make sure to turn this off. I hate battery powered devices because I always forget to turn them off. I am a battery killer. So that's what I like about the pocket operators. They never turn off. All right, this cable has a kink in it. I don't like that. I'll worry about it later. Okay, yeah, I want to do like a whole video on that though someday, where I just kind of go around and measure different sound sources from different synthesizers. And of course, you know, you're not. My only hesitancy to doing a video like that is I'm not trying to say like, oh, these synthesizers are bad. Look how noisy they are, right? And I know that some people are going to just interpret it that way. And you know, what it is they have to make extra considerations at the factory to block those noises. That's the difference between like a hobbyist designer such as myself and like a real professional factory. You know, they design things for all kinds of considerations in like to avoid interference from all kinds of other devices. And it's like, wow, okay, that's a lot of work. That's a whole lot of work. Because all these devices play together. The only thing that I didn't get to work, and darn, I want to get this to work again. So before I end the stream, I want to try this one more time, I think. I don't know why. Let me go back to, sorry. See, this should, I got that cranked up. This should right now be being picked up by the pyramid, but it's not. So what's happening is this microphone is going into an auto tuner. That auto tuner is going into a device that converts audio to CV gate. And I've got CV8 coming out, CV gate coming out of this thing. I was testing it by sending it to the neutron to make sure that everything's cool. I'm getting a right signal. I did this earlier, and it's going to be so cool when I get this to work consistently. Because from here, I've got CV gate going into the pyramid. And because I'm on a live arm track, it should, but it's not, get MIDI in here. The first thing I do is I mute my voice so you can't hear me, and then I try to figure out what's going on. So we'll hear the neutron first. And that's just a bummer. That's just a bummer why it's not working. Has nothing to do with. Oh, wait a second. Nope, that was not it. I thought I would try something. Because, like I said, I got it working earlier before I started streaming. It wasn't working last night when I first set it up to test. Got it to work earlier. It's not working now. Don't know what that's all about. One thing I can say is that what I had it working on originally was off the K2. Oh well, sorry about that. No idea why that's not working. Oh well. My brain is just, see, that's what I'm saying. Like a lot of times I'm like, nope. I'm going to sit here until I figure this out. I know there's something that I'm missing, but in this particular case, I can't think of what it is that I'm doing different. And how I got to, when I was so excited when it worked earlier, I was like, there's no, oh man, I can't believe it finally worked. Because as I was like taking my voice up and down, I could see the lights moving, like, like a controller was like sweeping back and forth across the notes, up and down. So cool. And then with the auto tuner, which I hate auto tuners, but it is so great for this because what it's doing is it's restricting my voice to a scale, which is forcing like just certain notes. So for this, it's perfect. It's just absolutely perfect. And you're not, for this, you're not really going to notice much of a difference at all. And it's going to be mostly the same because it's just a bunch of noise. And from here, no, it's pretty much the same. I mean, you notice a little bit of a difference. There is a little bit of quantizing on the second example, perhaps, but no, it's mostly just a bunch of just noise, right? Which is why I wanted to be able to pull it into the pyramid, because if I can get like that craziest stack of notes through here, I can start doing other stuff with it. I'll work on that some more later. I don't think it has anything to do with the settings over here. You can just get all kinds of cool effects with this thing, though. It is so much fun. Dang, all right, I'm out of here. I'm gonna have to give up on that. So when I turn everything off, I make sure to unplug my headphones. And just, unless I'm just being super, 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 super lazy, I always turn off the amp. And then from here, I just shut everything off. And I would do that right now, but then you won't be able to hear my voice. And actually, if I did that, no, it would just shut the cameras down and everything. That would not be very good. Hey, Sabbatic, thanks for stopping by. Michael, thanks for stopping by. How you guys doing? And yeah, it's great to catch up with you too, Randy. Hope to see you around some more. Hope everybody's doing well. It's been a horrible 2 years. I don't know what to say. I just hope we can all pull past this and say, you know what? No. We're going back to work, whatever. And not only that, we're bringing the 80s back this time, and the 80s are never going away. You didn't miss much of anything, Sabbatic. I didn't really have a jam or anything. You'll hear it. I'm gonna like this. What I was working on just now is going to become a jam, and it's just, I think I can actually just kind of let you hear what it sounds like right now. What I'm working on, it's something I'm working on in 6/8. And of course, I can't hear it right now, so perhaps you're hearing something and I'm not. I see lights going up and down. anyways, yeah, being silly now. Something like that. That's the basis. That's the foundation for what I'm going to be working on next. Yeah, I like 6'8", but it's weird. I'm having to use 6'4" in the pyramid, and it's like the scale just upped, like divided. So like I'm looking at 32nd notes instead of 16th notes. I'm like, okay, I'll figure that out later. There's a lot of weird things about the pyramid I'm still figuring out. But considering that like it does like really any time signature that you can conceive of, it's crazy, and it can have like almost 400 bars. Almost like that's crazy. It will do like a whole MIDI file. All right, everybody. Hey, thanks for stepping by. I don't know how often I'll be streaming to YouTube. I just wanted to try this out because I'd never really streamed to YouTube before. And I figured, wow, I should do that before I criticize it, I suppose. So once again, thanks. I'm going to try to do this again tonight over on Twitch and like just do like an hour to 2 hours of just straight jamming with this material. And then hopefully tomorrow cut like a 10-minute jam that I'll upload to YouTube. And sometime in between all of that, look for a job. So again, thanks everybody. I'll see y'all around. See you. I'll be watching your videos. I'll see you when I watch your videos. How about that? Bye-bye, y'all. Take care.